Some would say my taste for UI is maximalist, but hey, if you're gonna have it, you might as well go all out. That being said, I'm of course very fond of how Atlas in particular does their menus and UI, but if you dig a little deeper through the depths of Steam, you can find tons of design flair and pizzazz sprinkled throughout some super cool indie games. Today I present to you my favorite menus, UI, and interactive tidbits. What at first appears to be just another analog horror game where you poke around a haunted retro computer quickly becomes something much more vibrant and under the sea as control is taken over from you by a new operating system that makes some very cute faces. In Panthalassa, you explore an abandoned underwater research facility through a series of increasingly alien user interfaces and learn about some fish along the way. The game's demo just came out a few days ago and completely held my attention as I poked around and tried to figure out what happened to my body after my consciousness was uploaded into a new form. The game does a great job at making you feel a little lost and a little confused, but slowly gives you new information to help navigate and figure out how to progress. The power in the station was shut off, so my first order of business was to plug the cord back in, I guess. But the flip needs to be switched first, which is somehow linked to a bunch of eels in a vat of frying oil. And just like that, the simple task of turning the power on was transformed into a bizarre, tactile puzzle, which seems to be the running theme of Panthalassa. There's also a telescope that lets you zoom in on and identify alien flora and fauna off in the distance, and an offering synthesizer that has you combine different proteins and nutrients to attract said organisms for further research. If you like poking around, clicking on stuff, and being transported to surreal, sleepy places, then you're gonna want to download this demo ASAP. Sticking with the underwater theme, developer Jump Over the Age, also known as Gareth Damian Martin, is a whiz at designing this clean sci-fi UI that is very pleasing to look at. Their first game, In Other Waters, has you navigating the depths of an alien ocean through your malfunctioning diving suit's AI interface. See, in Other Waters, you're not actually controlling the character. Rather, you're monitoring her vitals, scanning landmarks, plotting her position, and listening to her every question and concern. And I think the UI and menus here are done perfectly. This mix of simple lines and icons densely packed in to convey a bunch of different info to the player all at once. The gameplay might not be for everyone, but this is certainly something fresh and a nice little test for Gareth's future projects. Those other games, you've probably heard of them at this point, Citizen Sleeper and its sequel, take this style into the stars. Still lots of thin lines and simple shapes, this time complemented by lovely character illustrations, complex 3D models, and dice rolling skill checks. All that to say that these are all fantastic examples of games with limited gameplay that still go above and beyond to provide a unique experience and ways to interact with the world. They somehow feel almost physical, like the tabletop games that inspired them, and the choices you make in them do feel very meaningful. Did your early 2000s look like this? Or this? The first is a racing game where you control a flying cat, and the second is a 3D platformer where you kill rich people. Both are really weird, both have demos on Steam, and both have some UI, that's for sure. Let's start with Kitten Burst. It's basically Fruited Your Arrow, the game. The UI is generally very clean with rounded fonts, but it's infused with this promise of tomorrow's technology being a source of hope for the future. All these menus and screens and devices are fun. They have personality unlike all the black rectangles we have today. 500 Caliber Contractz also has some pretty fun UI going on, but like edgy. It's also Windows XP-ish, like this background, but kinda the what if this paradise just completely crashed and burned version. It's the unregistered Hypercam 2 side of 2000s tech. These text boxes are perfection, and so are the character design and movement, and even the levels themselves. And I'm really glad to see some devs finally moving past the 90s inspiration and into something that I've got a little bit more first-hand experience with. It also makes me wonder, how will we look back on the 20s in a couple decades? If we make it through the 20s, that is. Imagine your first car. How exciting it was to finally have your own set of wheels. The world felt like it was at your fingertips. You could go anywhere, do anything. Now I just probably have to go to the grocery store. Again. You hear about a festival on the other side of the country, so you pack up all your belongings, pop them in the trunk, and hit the road. Keep Driving focuses on the analog experience of fixing up your car, and I can practically see this dashboard like it's right in front of me in my old car. Turning up the radio, watching the speedometer needle pitch forward as you accelerate, glancing up into the rearview mirror and hopefully not seeing any flashing lights. You've also got the Resident Evil style grid-based inventory where you have to organize the items in your trunk. This screen in particular is just wow. Like, these are just a bunch of pixels strategically arranged to create something that feels like this perfect balance of organization and complete chaos. Just like how you could plan out every single detail of a road trip, but you'll never quite know how everything's gonna pan out until it's over. And I can't bring up driving game UI without mentioning the king, Pacific Drive. When you're in your car, all the information you could possibly need to know can be found on your dashboard and the various gadgets mounted to it. The softly glowing lights create such a cozy atmosphere when you're out exploring the zone. That is, until the anomalies start closing in on you. They could not have nailed this look any better. The retro futuristic tech that's pretty similar to what we have now, but with a few quirks. Plus the fact that you have to manually turn the key to start the engine or pull the parking brake. It really creates this unique bonding experience between you and your station wagon. Pacific Drive has a lot of information to convey to the player through different stations in your workshop, menus, computers, your car itself. But looking through all this stuff and especially interacting with it is so fascinating and eventually just becomes second nature. Truly a one-of-a-kind game. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ironwood Studios will come up with next. To anyone out there who has ever had to design menus, button prompts, or even pick out a font for anything, huge props to you. I've seen so many games where UI is obviously an afterthought, and that's why games like these that have design at the forefront are so cool to me. These were some rather, I'd say, extreme examples, but a lot of times good UI will go completely unnoticed by most people. It's there, it does its job, it's not distracting. But who doesn't want to be completely overwhelmed with information every now and then? And as I take off into the sunset, take a look at some UI updates to the very normal upcoming game, Eternity Egg.